Supply-side policies. Supply-side policies aim to increase the economy's trend growth rate. The aim of supply-side policies is to expand the productive potential, i.e., the long-run aggregate supply of an economy, or to increase the trend rate of growth, as shown in these diagrams. Supply-side policies are about the government creating the right conditions to allow market forces to create growth, as opposed to the government creating growth directly by, for example, increasing its spending. Supply-side policies involve making structural changes to the economy to allow its individual parts to work more efficiently and more productively. For example, they might do this by helping markets function more efficiently or creating incentives for firms or individuals to become more productive or more entrepreneurial. Supply-side policies can be divided into free market and interventionist policies. Free market supply-side policies aim to increase efficiency by removing things which interfere with the free market. They include tax cuts, privatisation, deregulation, and policies to increase labour market flexibility. Examples of free market supply-side policies are noted here. Interventionist supply-side policies are usually aimed at correcting market failure. They include government spending on education, subsidies for research and development, funding for improvements to infrastructure, and industrial policy. That is, policy aimed at developing a particular industry or sector of the economy. The effects of supply-side policies are generally microeconomic, i.e., their direct effects are usually on individual workers, firms, or markets. However, these changes can have a powerful macroeconomic effect. Supply-side policies can make an economy more robust and flexible. Supply-side policies can increase the efficiency of various markets. Here are some examples of supply-side policies that might be used in different kinds of markets. We will start with the product market. In the product market, it will create incentives for firms to invest. That is, supply-side policies should create incentives for firms to invest. For instance, offer firms tax breaks. That is, a reduction in the amount of tax they need to pay if these firms invest profits back into their business instead of paying dividends to their shareholders. Trade liberalisation. This means removing or reducing trade barriers and allowing goods and capital to flow more freely between countries. Third, encourage competition. For example, deregulation can lead to improved efficiency in a market. Privatisation. Privatisation may be effective if nationalised industries are inefficient. Contracting services out. This means the government asks private firms to bid to carry out services on its behalf, although, it should be pointed out, the government retains responsibility for the service. Finally, provide extra support for new and small firms, or make it easier to set up a new company. Second, supply-side policies can increase the efficiency in the capital market. Deregulation of financial markets removed a lot of the traditional restrictive practices that were felt to have made British financial markets inefficient. The example of this that you should Google now regards the Big Bang of 1986. Supply-side policies should also aim to improve the labour market. This can be done through reducing unemployment benefits, to create incentives for people to take a job, even a low-paid one, rather than live on benefits, thus making it easier for people to find out about what jobs are available can also help. Second, reduce or reform income tax. Introducing a progressive taxation with the aim of creating more incentives for people to work, e.g., by ensuring that people don't become worse off if they take a job or earn a pay rise. Another example can be about improving education and training. For instance, apprenticeships allow people to learn practical skills while gaining relevant qualifications. Also, improvements in education will not only allow employees to become more productive, but also can lead to greater occupational mobility. Improve labour market flexibility. So, through trade union reforms or by making it easier for firms to make workers redundant when times are tough. Reduce regulations on firms. This would reduce firms' non-wage costs and may encourage them to employ more workers. Suitable demand-side policies are needed alongside supply-side policies. Supply-side policies aim to make an economy more able to supply products, but for maximum benefit, there needs to be demand for those products. This means appropriate demand-side policies are also necessary. Nowadays, supply-side and demand-side policies are often used together, but to achieve different aims. That is, supply-side policies create long-term economic growth, whilst demand-side policies stabilise the economy in the short term. For example, let's consider unemployment. Using an expansionary fiscal policy to boost aggregate demand might reduce unemployment. However, a supply-side economist would say that reducing unemployment in this way doesn't change the natural rate of unemployment. So, when the effects of your expansionary fiscal policy end, unemployment is likely to return to its pre-boost equilibrium, that is, its original equilibrium. A supply-side approach to the problem might be to try to reduce the NRU itself, i.e. create a new equilibrium position in the labour market by shifting the long-run aggregate supply curve to the right, meaning the long-run Phillips curve will shift to the left. The hope is that this effect is likely to have a lasting impact. So, we can see this with the following examples. There should be increased incentives to work. Increased incentives to work have created a greater supply of labour, which will shift the supply curve to the right. We could also see it with increased tax breaks. Tax breaks would encourage firms to invest, and therefore there'd be greater demand for labour. Not only will the demand curve shift to the right in the short run, the AD that is, to increase economic growth and reduce unemployment, but over the longer term, AS would shift to the right and therefore reducing the natural rate of unemployment. There are huge potential benefits of supply-side policies. First, supply-side policies will increase the economy's trend growth rate. And this makes it easier for government to achieve its macroeconomic objectives. That is, with fewer conflicts between the objectives, which isn't the case with demand-side policies. For example, unemployment should fall as the economy grows and output expands. And cost-push inflation should be reduced as greater efficiencies and lower costs are achieved with the supply-side policies, providing that they are indeed successful. The current account of the balance of payments should also improve because of increased international competitiveness. That is, AS will shift to the right, inflation should fall, and this should improve exports and limit the number of imports. Supply-side policies are not perfect in every way. It can take a long time to see the results of supply-side policies, so they can't be used to fix the economy quickly. For example, it will take many years to see the effects on an economy's labour supply that occur from improvements in education. Second, there can be unintended consequences. For instance, the deregulation of the financial markets led to excessive risk-taking in financial markets, which contribute towards the recent recession. The original deregulation was called the Big Bang, and this took place in 1986. Third, supply-side policies can be unpopular, and there are also concerns about whether some are inequitable, that is, unfair. For example, benefit cuts can lead to the poorest people in society worrying about their ability to cope financially. Or greater flexibility in the labour market and trade union reforms could lead to some people having less job security. So while a government may hope that improved economic performance will lead to greater prosperity, overall, in the long term, it can be very difficult in the short term to introduce some of these policies.